Yes, sir. Good morning. So let us begin with the classification of services. So into the classification of services, we have started with many of the brief explanation in the previous session. As like services is completely about that intangible aspect which is being offered by one person to another person, where in terms of return the expectation is almost like satisfaction. And the degree of intangibility, the first classification. Into the degree of intangibility, we can divide it into three different categories. One, it is about highly intangible. Second one, partially intangible. And third one is highly tangible. So let us discuss about the first point, highly intangible. Yes, very much sure. We cannot see, we cannot touch, only we can feel. The tangibility will be completely zero. There are many examples for that. Probably you can go for finding out education services as a purely intangible, highly intangible. Probably even you can go for looking forward into some of the services which are not to be visible. Probably I can go for taking another example as like a movie. Yes, probably you cannot go for hiring those actors, actress, correct? But you can enjoy that movie for that moment. So it is intangible, where that visibility, that existence may not be full. Second thing is about partially intangible or partially tangible. So in this particular perspective, these people, they are going to find it out their own way of approach of partially intangible. Yes, so some of the services where we can find out physical evidence of that product, but priority will be more on to service. Maybe we can go for finding out all hotel services, the foods, restaurants, whatever they are going to offer. 100% sure, our preference will be there on a quantum of product, but at the same moment of time, equivalently, we do have our consideration with respect to the taste, offerings made by that hotel, even about how they are going to provide the services, correct? So everything is going to be much considered into the amount of degree of uh, intangibility. And the third point is about purely tangible. Yes, into purely tangible aspect, more priority will be there onto product instead of services. So people, they are going to feel much prior. People, they are going to feel much amount of getting highlighted with reference to the product only. Okay. So where services are very much neglected, that is how degree of intangibility, three sub points we have covered. And the second point is about producer services versus consumer services. Yes, into the amount of producer services, all the B2B services comes into the category of producers services. So in this particular priority will be there on the B2B, in the sense another business what they are expecting from one of the main business. So as a seller, you need to customize your products and services for the purpose of another business what they are expecting so far. Producer services, it is to be called. And B2C and C2C comes into the category of consumer services, business to consumer and consumer to consumer. So here, consumer services, it's almost like where people they are trying to showcase the consideration as a consumer service. Final consumer, the customer one who is buying the finished goods, will be majorly into the consideration, and their satisfaction is most important into the consumer services. And the third point is about the status. Yeah, truly speaking, the status of the product and services, it is very much essential where our priority will be more and more onto what we are offering the service and how we are offering the service. So people they are going to look forward the total product which is being offered aligned with services, whether it is going to carry its own weightage or not, and do we need to give more weightage for those services associate with the product or not? That's a question. Maybe I may go for taking a simple example here. You like to buy one of a four-wheeler vehicle. Probably most of us we are going to think a lot that do we get after sale service from that services provider or also the seller of that four-wheeler vehicle? Yes, always the question is going to get raised. BMW openly they have announced that except five cities in India, if you are traveling in BMW vehicle apart from these cities, we are not responsible for giving the services. So what exactly all these things are? Yes, that's a niche market, appreciable. Okay, but what it happens in case if somebody is staying apart from these five metropolitan cities? Obviously, they need to search some other brand, some other product, correct? So it's almost as like a status of services associated with the total product of. And the fourth point is about the extent of inseparability. So how much we are making a separation of product and service, a customer and services provider. That's a question. And answer is about there are again three different categories will come into the picture. The first category is about impossible. There is no possibility of making separable. That is also to be called highly inseparable. Yes, services provider and the consumer cannot be separated in some of the services. Those categories are such like probably hotel services, education services. Okay, so how much ever it is important about the brand, even that services provider is also quite important. And the second subcategory of that extent of inseparability is like partially separable. Yes, again, I'm going to take the same thing as like nowadays into the hotel services. Many of the intermediaries have entered into the market as such like we need not to go to hotel and buy the food, correct? So we can order it from our home automatically. they are going to carry the same product and deliver it to our home. Maybe I can name it some of few of the examples as like the Swiggy and many more. Correct? Second sub point, sorry, third sub point is about purely inseparable. Yes, we cannot separate any kind of product and services from the consumer. He's supposed to have there itself. And another point is such like purely separable, where your service is quite important, but it can be separated as according to the requirement of customers. You're trying to make customization. Okay. And the fifth main point comes into the point like the pattern of services delivery. This is purely the concept belongs to the fifth P in the seven P's. That's about people. The employees who are all associated with the services are the most important here in the pattern of services delivery. So how we are going to deliver the services so that our clients are going to feel much satisfied. That's about pattern of services delivery. The extent of people orientation. So into the extent of people orientation, where the preferability with respect to the amount of involvement of your customer in production of services, that is to be called as people orientation. So how exactly it is going to be acting? See, most of the time when you are going to look forward into certain amount of services, such like probably you do have a two-wheeler vehicle where today you wanted to increase the amount of the petrol capacity what you used to carry every day. Maybe you are going to take 2 liters of petrol that will be consumed for 1 week. But maybe one of the day you're going to decide that you would like to travel. So what happened all of a sudden? Yes, you're trying to increase that capacity and just you would like to put that volume. So how exactly this is going to be associated with this people orientation? Yes, the services are customized by the services provider as like the requirement made by or else as like the requirement put by customer. That is to be called as people orientation. Okay. So forcibly he may not put the petrol into your two-wheeler vehicle. Correct? As according to the requirement, it's going to be. So people orientation is so important into the services associated. And people orientation is neglectable also, where we may not able to give much preference towards customers expectations, and the services provider is going to produce the service without asking anyone's opinion. Correct? That's also a second sub point into the extent of people orientation. And come to the seventh point, significance of services to the purchaser, to the buyer of the product. So, if the significance, importance is so high, then preference will be more on to the services. Significance is low, then low preference. So I can go for giving some of the examples as such like maybe one of the student is attending the class Yes, teacher service is very much essential where significance is more. That's the reason you are moving forward into the concern of the same significance or importance. And at the same point of time, I can go for giving another example for the less significance. So, in that, you'd like to carry some of the food to home. So, you're neglecting towards who is producing the food. Your major concentration will be there what they are providing and what I'm carrying the food to home. Correct? So your significance will be more onto the product instead of services provider when you are taking the parcel to home. You're understanding the theme clearly. Correct? So that is how two sub points are going to get associated with the seventh point. And the last point for the day is about marketable versus unmarketable services. Yes. Into this particular mode of approach, marketable services, where you are going to do promotion activities and your services quality will be getting highlighted, and based upon your services only people they are going to buy that product. Maybe that's a brand, maybe that's your taste and preferences, maybe that uniqueness what you are trying to showcase in front of your clients, those are all comes into the category of marketable services. Maybe I can give the naming of examples like textiles, motor vehicles, hair cutting saloon shop, hotels. So everyone come into the category of marketable services. Whereas unmarketable services, many of NGOs they are going to provide these kind of unmarketable services, where their main concentration will be on that service and making that particular group selected group to get satisfied. So they're not going to do such kind of services activity for the marketing purpose. Correct? So those are all the services comes into the category of unmarketable services. Thank you. So with this note, we are going to end up today's session about classification of services. Thank you so much.